Greetings. On behalf of Campus Life and the BCSG Funding Activities Board, welcome to this brief tutorial of the club re-registration process. As a reminder, all BCSG recognized clubs need to complete this by the due date in order to continue as a club in the next academic year. We recommend that you fill this out as a club or with club leadership as a group to ensure it accurately reflects as many members' perspectives as possible. Here's how to navigate to your re-registration application. So first, you're going to log in to Bates Engage on the web browser. Unfortunately, you can't do so from the mobile app. So you'll go to engage.bates.edu and log in with your Bates login credentials. After that, you will navigate to your club's officer dashboard, which you can easily access by selecting Groups on the top bar and then searching for it. I'm going to search for a test group now, just as an example. When you land on your club's officer dashboard, you should see this big blue box at the top, indicating the due date of your club's re-registration. You do need to have a few things ready prior to starting this application. The first is the number of meetings and events your club will have held by the end of this year. You should have your club membership roster ready to upload. You'll need new or continuing officers for fall, and you'll want to take some time to think through accomplishments and challenges from this year and goals for next year, which is part of the reason why we really recommend that you do this as a group so it can represent as many perspectives as possible. Finally, if your club has officer storage space, the member who should have key or swipe access is ready to upload. Once you're ready to go, you will click the blue button that says Group Re-Registration. Here at the top, you have the option to update these 4 areas of your group's Bates Engage profile. You can update the categories that your club falls into, the logo that your club has on Bates Engage, what its mission is, and what goals you have overall. Next, you'll be asked to list officers. To be very clear, these are officers that you want in place and on record for the coming academic year, the ones you want in place for the coming fall semester. Community liaison, as you will note here, is the only required position, but you must have another 4 officers. Now, traditionally, these are president or co-presidents, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And you'll see on the drop-down list that these traditional positions are listed here. It's important to note that these positions must be filled by unique individuals. A single person cannot hold more than 1 officer position. As noted on here, please leave your E&I peer advisor and your funding activities advisor in place. Do not change those. And if you do have a position for which there's no title on this drop-down list, we know that some clubs have additional positions besides these. Just select this officer option. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in some names here so I can advance this. And you can select, just to be very clear, you can select more than 1 person for a position, but 1 person can't hold more than 1 position, just to be absolutely clear on that. So once you've filled out the officers that you want in place for the coming academic year, you're going to select Next. Next, we come to the basic details screen. Here you'll fill out a few basic things, as the page says, that are more for your information for the BCSG Funding Activities Board, otherwise known as FAB, and Campus Life. First, you'll fill out your club name. You can choose to change your club's name for the coming academic year. If you select yes, you can propose a new name, as well as a reasoning for the club name change. And FAB will review your request and let your leaders know in the fall of whether or not that was approved. You can also choose to update your club's constitution. If you select yes, please note that it still has to conform with the required constitution format. There's a link here that will take you to it. You'll also need to provide the final number of active members for the current academic year. With active membership being defined as continual participation in club meetings, events, programs, and other activities, and should be determined as participation in at least 51% of the club's activities. This is a very clinical, formal definition of who is an active member. It's not that serious. If you're sort of wondering if, so and so is actually an active member, they only attended 48% from your count of the club's activities. We're not checking to that level. So, based on your best estimate, how many active members do you have for the current academic year? I would also note that it does not serve you to overestimate or underestimate that number. This has no bearing on whether you can continue as a club or how much funding you get in an academic year. It's just sort of a way for campus life to assess how much engagement clubs en masse have on our campus. So, don't stress out about this, but please be as accurate as possible. Then it asks you to download and complete a spreadsheet before answering the below question. I will pull that up right now. It's the membership roster spreadsheet. It's pretty simple. All I got to do is put in your club name and the first name, last name, and class year of all your members, including your leadership. You'll note up here in the title of the document that there is a club name in parentheses. If you could kindly replace this with your own club name, just so it's easier for us to organize it, that'd be greatly appreciated. Then it asks, by the end of this academic year, how many meetings will your club have held? And how many events or other activities will your club have held for the entire academic year? Again, no bearing on whether your club exists or if it gets funding. It's an FYI in terms of general assessment for campus life and FAB. One other thing to note is on this page, if your club is currently on record as having an officer storage space, you will be asked one of two questions. If your storage space is in Chase Hall, you'll be asked to provide the name of one individual who should be a key holder. If your space is outside of Chase Hall, we have a few. You'll be asked to upload a separate spreadsheet, which is our key holder and swipe access spreadsheet. Which is this one right here. Very similar, except instead of class year, you will do first name, last name, and Bates email of each individual who should have access to your storage space in the fall. Make sure you add your club name here, and when you save it, if you could kindly also put your club name in the space where it says club name here, that would be greatly appreciated. Once you have all of this basic information filled out, you can hit next. And you'll arrive at the reflection and future planning page. Here we're looking for some qualitative and quantitative feedback on things like how the year went for your club accomplishments, its challenges this year, goals your club has for the new year, and how well your club leadership knows about Bates leads. If you do answer this last question, average or higher, you'll be asked a simple follow-up about what's Bates Leads values you feel intersect most with your club. And if you just need a refresher, in this question there is a link to the Bates Leads framework so you can review it. All right, we have the reflection and future planning page filled out. We're going to go to the next screen. This page is about club support, and it asks you to rate your club's relationship with its funding and activities advisor, its campus life equity and inclusion peer advisor, and how FAB and campus life can be better partner to your club in the coming academic year. It also has a final optional field if your club has other comments, questions, or suggestions to find them here. You won't see the next two fields, those are private, but please note that your re-registration will not be approved until the summer, as doing so will change your club officers on record. You can reach out to Campus Life or FAB with questions. All right, before I hit submit, I do want to point out that this can take some time, right, to fill out. And you might get to a certain page or a certain question and say, you know what, actually, we need some more time to deliberate on it. You can, at the bottom here, save your submission as a draft. Now, what that's going to do is going to save it for later, and you can see that it does pop up here as a draft. In order to navigate back to it, let's say you have to leave your computer or your tablet, whatever you're filling it out on, and you need to log back into Bates Engage and resume. It's pretty easy to get back there. All you have to do is on the left sidebar here, select My Activity, and then My Surveys and Forms. It should be one of the top things, assuming you don't have other things in draft. All I got to do is click on it, and it will bring back up your submission. Now, here it will just have, it's not going to separate it by pages anymore. It'll all be one run-on document, but rest assured, it captures all your answers, everything you had done to that point. If you do want to edit things like the folks who you named as your officers, or maybe you want to edit your categories, you can select Edit up here in the Group Details section, and it'll bring those back up for you as well. So you can fill this out, edit whichever officers you submitted, that sort of a thing. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to click through, and I'm going to select Submit. So when you submit, once again, it gives you that reminder that re-registration isn't approved until the summer, because doing so will change your club officers on record. I do want to show you, though, what you should get after you submit. So this first one will only be to the individual who submitted the club re-registration application. And that's this new answer submitted for BCSG-Recognized club re-registration email. It literally will say, hey, so-and-so, thank you for submitting answers to the re-registration. And it will literally list all of your answers and allow you to view the form if you so desire. Once you've submitted, you can't edit it again. If you do need to edit anything, please get in touch with Campus Life or Fab. We'll do our best to help you with that. The second thing that's really important is the officer approval email. So everyone who you listed as an officer for the coming fall will get this email after you submit. It says, accept your officer position for, and we'll have your club name. And it says big gold letters and buttons, officer. And it advises you to accept the officer position or deny it by answering the form below. Congratulations on your appointment as officer of this club starting in the fall. And it advises the individual that if you think you got this email in error, contact engage@bates.edu. This is really, really, really important. If all of your officers don't approve and accept their officer position, it could mean that your re-registration itself isn't approved. So please, please, please make sure that all of your officers are aware, first of all, that you're naming them an officer for the fall. And secondly, that they go to their email after you submit and that they answer the form, which is the club and org membership agreement. It will ask them to read the agreement, agree to it, and sign off on it for the fall. If all of your officers don't do so, like I said, your club may not be re-registered. Your approval of the process may not happen. So, going back to Bates Engage, after you submitted this, you will likely hear from your Funding and Activities Advisor and Equity and Inclusion Peer Advisor before the end of this year, letting you know that they've read over your submission and, as applicable, offering ways to be supportive based on what was in your submission. That could include things like, hey, let's set up a meeting to talk about how I can support you in the coming year. It could be, I'm putting a pin in this. Let's make sure we connect in the fall. Just sort of ways to make sure that your club is fully supported as we go into a new year. As I've said twice already, but it bears repeating a third time, your application will not be approved until the summer, as doing so will overwrite and update your club officers on record. As a final note, you may be wondering, how do I get money for next year? Rest assured, re-registration and funding are two separate processes, and the funding application for next year will go live over the summer, so your club can start requesting funds for the fall. This is why it's especially important for your club officers to be accurate so they get the announcement when the funding application for the coming academic year goes live. And that's about it. Thank you for taking the time to go through this tutorial today. Please reach out to campuslife@bates.edu or fab@bates.edu with questions. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.